First of all, let me congratulate you on the report. Well, I'll tell you why. It's the 17th edition of this report, which means a few things. One, that over the course of years, what I've seen is that the quality of the content and the insights have improved dramatically. One is that. Second of all, what it also means is that for IBM, you don't take this lightly. It's just not a sales channel for you. It's more like a dedicated exercise which you're super committed to. So that's wonderful. But with every report, there is always going to be leanings in the sense that they're going to borrow something from the past and move it to this report. But I'm really keen to understand from you, can you share, let's say, a few key points that you, from your own perspective, thought truly stood out in this specific report? And do you think there are certain trends that were very specifically as an outcome of the post-COVID times?
Yeah, I mentioned just that small one earlier on the granularity of the threat actors. I mean, there's other examples in here in that report that if I look historically, analytics, for example, went from, I think it wasn't even present in 2016. It was It was sixth in 2019, and now it's number one, right? So what we try to do with each of these reports is to bring about what's new and form a relevant picture of the risks and strategies for securing your data, responding to the breaches. So, some of the technologies that we saw that were making an impact, particularly, was around XDR, right? So the convergence of analytics gathered from multiple places and orchestrated together was having an impact. The risk quantification, obviously, even when you look at our recent acquisition of Rendori, which is about attack surface management, it's really understanding what that risk is and how does that apply to your environment. We're getting greater granularity there that's having an impact. And then, the individual pieces. I think one of the statistics which was consistent across the different regions was, the entry point, the initial entry point from attackers from phishing and stolen credentials and phishing, when converged, was almost a third, in some cases more than a third of all breaches, and some of the most expensive ones. So singular things you can do, like multi-factor authentication, just keeps bubbling up. So protective mechanism as opposed to a detect and respond type or a risk one was definitely part of it. I think the first time we started to break down also the supply chain compromises, and in our X-Force report, Asia Pacific was number one in the most attacked regions for the first time, geographies actually, and manufacturing itself was also the most attacked industry. So in Asia Pacific we saw impacts during and soon after the pandemic, if we define it as back to as normal as it can be. Those supply chains were vulnerable to attack, and with the number of vulnerabilities that we're seeing in the supply chain, the attackers use that as leverage to get ransom paid. So I think with India and manufacturing in particular being strong across Asia Pacific, we definitely saw the introduction of that as the supply chain risk is one thing that really stood out to us in this report.
So yeah, I totally agree with you. From our inquiry-based perspective as well, we've seen a good amount of swell up in specifically supply chain management, data around supply chain. In fact, so much so the supply chain modernization as a topic has really come up in the last 6 months for us. So I totally agree with you there.